This is the Focal Point podcast, an ongoing series where we deep dive into the meat of messy management. Whether it's technology, business, government, or entertainment, we chat about our experiences and perspectives in life and leadership. Join us as we learn about their latest insights and hopefully inspire you to have some of your own.
Here's the scary part. Your engineering organization may already be failing and the dashboard may still be green.
Right, no incident tickets, no red metrics, no board-level panic. The release train is moving, the roadmap is full, everyone is busy.
And yet underneath all that activity, the real damage is happening somewhere else.
In the wiring.
Exactly. The dashboard is the smoke detector. It tells you when something is already burning. But this episode is about the faulty wiring inside the walls, the forces that quietly weaken engineering organizations long before anyone calls them a crisis.
And the point is not your organization is broken.
No, the point is sharper than that. These forces are common. They are structural. They show up in sophisticated companies with great tooling, smart people, and impressive strategies.
Which is what makes them dangerous.
Because leaders usually look for failure in the places they already measure: velocity, incidents, attrition, delivery dates, engagement scores.
But the real forces are operating between what organizations measure and what actually drives performance.
And there are 5 of them. Old beliefs that were never retired, ownership that has been softened away, poorly framed problems, unresolved grievance, and the quiet preference to consume capability instead of creating it.
That list sounds abstract at first.
It does. But each one answers a question engineering leaders should probably be asking right now.
Like, what belief is still running the company even though the environment changed?
Or who actually owns the outcome?
Or are we solving the real problem or just the problem that was easiest to describe?
So let's start with the first force, the beliefs your transformation cannot afford to leave intact.
This is such a good place to start because every transformation has 2 parts. There is the visible part, new platform, new process, new operating model, new architecture.
The slide deck part.
Exactly. And then there is the invisible part, the beliefs people developed under the old system.
And those beliefs were not stupid.
That's important.
They were often correct when they formed. If deployments used to be dangerous, then optimizing for deployment stability made sense. If production was fragile, then being cautious made sense. If the organization rewarded immediate delivery, then chasing immediate results made sense.
But then the environment changes.
CI/CD improves, automation improves, architecture improves, the strategy changes, the company says we need speed now, we need experimentation, we need ownership.
But the old belief is still there.
Exactly. The new behavior gets layered on top of the old belief, and that creates drag.
Wait, say more about that.
Think of it like installing a new operating system, but leaving the old kernel underneath. The interface looks modern, but the deepest rules are still old. People attend the transformation workshops, they learn the new vocabulary, they use the new tooling, but when pressure hits, they revert to what experience taught them was safe.
That's the part leaders usually miss. They assume resistance means people are being stubborn.
When often people are being loyal to a lesson the organization taught them years ago.
That's a useful distinction.
And the argument is that transformation requires deliberate unlearning, not just adding new information, actually naming the prior belief, testing it, and retiring it.
So instead of saying, we need to deploy more frequently, the leader has to say, we used to believe deployments were risky and should be rare. That belief protected us in the old environment, but here is why it no longer applies.
Yes, and then the organization has to create new experiences that prove the new belief is safe.
Because people do not abandon old beliefs because a leader announces a new principle.
They abandon old beliefs when reality gives them a better one.
So this is not really a communication problem.
Not mainly, it is an experience design problem. You have to design the work so people can encounter a new truth.
Which brings us to the second force. What happens when you remove the weight of ownership?
This section is fascinating because it pushes against a very common leadership instinct.
The instinct to protect teams.
Right. Add process gates, add approval layers, spread accountability across committees. Make sure no single team or person can be blamed if something goes wrong.
And that sounds humane.
It can be, but if you remove genuine ownership, you also remove one of the core conditions that produces drive.
Because high performance is not just talent.
Exactly. Extraordinary performance is more connected to drive and determination than native talent. And drive does not appear magically. It emerges when people feel real ownership of a meaningful outcome.
Not fake ownership.
Right, not you own this, while every important decision still has to go through 3 approval chains.
That is ownership theater.
Yes, real ownership means your judgment matters. Your choices affect whether the thing succeeds or fails. The outcome has weight.
And if that weight disappears?
The energy does not disappear. It goes somewhere else.
Where does it go?
When people do not have ownership over an outcome that matters more than the grievance, their energy migrates to grievance, status, politics, and proving points.
So the engineer without ownership does not become neutral.
No, they become preoccupied, maybe with process, maybe with recognition, maybe with old injustices, maybe with internal positioning.
That sounds familiar.
Very familiar. And the leadership mistake is to treat that as a personality issue.
When it might be an ownership design issue.
Exactly. If the person closest to the work cannot carry the consequence of the work, then the organization has taken away the very thing that produces ambition.
So accountability is not punishment.
Not when designed well. It is the anchor. It is the weight that lets drive organize around something useful, like a bridge needing load to reveal whether the structure is real.
That leads naturally into the third force, the most expensive thing your engineers are working on.
And the answer is not necessarily the biggest platform project.
It's the poorly framed problem.
Yes, this is such a common engineering failure pattern. The team does excellent work. The code is solid. The architecture is reasonable. The execution is disciplined.
And the result still misses.
Because the actual problem was never correctly defined.
This is the dashboard showing fever but not the disease.
Exactly. The metric says something is wrong. Latency is up. Conversion is down. Customers are churning. Deployments are failing.
So the organization rushes into solving.
But it hasn't done the hard work of problem architecture. What exactly is broken? For whom? At what level? What would count as resolution? What evidence would prove we fixed it?
A problem well put is half solved.
And that sounds simple, but it's incredibly operational. A well-framed problem eliminates irrelevant solution paths. It exposes constraints. It clarifies whose experience matters. It defines evidence.
A poorly framed problem turns engineering effort into expensive guessing.
That's the phrase, expensive guessing.
There is also this distinction between why and what.
Yes, leaders often start with why. Why is the system slow? Why did the deployment fail? Why are customers leaving?
And those are not bad questions.
No, but they can trap you in explanation. You get a beautifully accurate explanation of the past without a precise definition of what needs to change.
So the better leadership move is what needs to be true.
Exactly. What needs to happen? What experience needs to improve? What behavior needs to change? What constraint needs to be removed?
That shifts the team from archaeology to architecture.
From digging up causes to designing resolution.
And problem definition is not the pre-work.
It is the work.
That is probably uncomfortable for leaders who want to accelerate delivery.
Because refining the problem can look like delay, but it is often the highest leverage throughput improvement available.
Right. Going faster in the wrong direction is not velocity. It is waste with confidence.
Exactly.
Now, the fourth force is heavier, unresolved grievance.
Yes, this is where we get into organizational destruction, not because people are irrational, but because unresolved injustice compounds.
There's a line here I want to highlight. A child not loved by the village eventually burns it down to feel its warmth.
It is a sharp metaphor because it frames destruction as a belonging problem. If people cannot access recognition, justice, or participation through legitimate means, the energy doesn't vanish. It redirects.
Into cynicism.
Into quiet quitting.
Into sabotage.
Into contempt.
And contempt is the key word.
Yes, the distinction between grievance and contempt matters. Grievance can still be addressed. Grievance says something unjust happened. Contempt says, this place is not worthy of my serious effort.
That is a much darker stage.
And many organizations wait until contempt shows up before they try to respond.
With engagement surveys.
Or retention bonuses.
Or culture initiatives.
But by then, the original grievance has matured. Maybe it was a reorg nobody explained. Maybe a leader behaved badly and was protected. Maybe politics got rewarded over craft. Maybe a team absorbed the cost of a decision they did not make.
And everyone knows.
That's the important part. These grievances are usually not secrets. They're just unaddressed.
So the organization treats them like background noise.
But they're more like debt. They accumulate interest.
Because debt doesn't stay the same size just because you ignore it.
Exactly. An unresolved grievance becomes a force. It changes how people interpret decisions. It changes how much benefit of the doubt leaders receive. It changes whether people bring problems forward or let them rot.
So resolving grievance is not just being nice.
No, it's strategic. You're removing a destructive force before it compounds further.
This is like going upstream instead of pulling people out of the river one by one.
Yes, you can keep rescuing symptoms downstream. Attrition, disengagement, missed handoffs, passive resistance. Or you can go upstream and ask, what injustice is generating this current?
That's the leadership question.
And it requires courage, because the answer is often something the organization already knows but has chosen not to formally face.
Now, the fifth force is quieter, but maybe the most strategic, consuming instead of creating.
This is the trade-off organizations often avoid naming. Technology organizations say they want innovation, differentiation, original capability.
But under pressure, they often choose consumption.
Vendor solutions, third-party frameworks, purchased methodology, acquired capability.
And to be fair, sometimes that is the right move.
Absolutely. Commodity capability should often be bought. The argument is not build everything yourself.
The danger is reflex.
Yes. Consumption is faster. It creates visible progress. You can show the tool, the contract, the implementation plan. Creation is slower. It requires cultivation.
And cultivation is hard to defend on a quarterly roadmap.
Exactly. But creative capacity is the one thing competitors cannot simply purchase.
That line lands.
Because when a company adopts a vendor's model, it is not just adopting a tool, it is often adopting a way of thinking.
The tool starts shaping the organization.
Hiring changes, architecture changes, workflow changes, strategy changes. The organization thinks it acquired a capability, but sometimes it has been acquired by a frame.
Wait, that is subtle. Say more.
A platform does not just help you do work. It often defines what kind of work feels natural, what metrics matter, what roles matter, what trade-offs are easy or hard. Over time, the vendor's assumptions become your operating assumptions.
So the question is not, should we buy tools?
No, the question is, where must we create original capability? Because that is the basis of our advantage.
And if the organization has no answer?
Then the consumption trap may already be closed.
There is a diagnostic question here. What did your organization build last year that no competitor could have purchased?
That is a brutal question.
Because a lot of organizations would have to answer with a long pause.
And that pause tells you something. It tells you whether you are harvesting without planting.
That's a strong image. Delivery is harvest. Roadmaps are harvest. Execution velocity is harvest. But creative capacity requires planting, time, attention, conditions, practice, patience.
And if every hour is allocated to committed delivery, there is no cultivation, which means there is no next generation of advantage.
So when you put all 5 forces together, the pattern is bigger than any one management mistake.
Right. Engineering organizations fail because invisible structural forces go unnamed.
Old beliefs keep running after the strategy changes.
Ownership gets diffused until drive has nowhere useful to attach.
Teams execute beautifully against badly framed problems.
Unresolved grievances compound into contempt.
And companies consume external capability until they lose the muscle to create their own.
And because these forces do not immediately show up as red metrics, leaders often discover them late.
By the time the dashboard turns red, the real failure already happened.
Exactly. The smoke detector finally screams, but the wiring has been bad for years.
So let's make this practical. What should leaders actually ask?
First, what transformation are we running, and what belief does it require people to stop holding?
And have we named that belief?
Yes, not implied it, not hoped people figure it out, named it, honored why it once made sense, and formally retired it.
Second, who carries real ownership?
Not symbolic ownership, real ownership, where their choices affect whether something succeeds or fails.
And if the answer is always the leader, then ownership has been removed from the work.
Third, what expensive problem did we work on recently, and how was it framed before the team started?
Was the frame tested? Did we know what resolution meant? Did we know whose pain mattered?
Fourth, what grievance does everyone know about that nobody has formally addressed?
That one requires honesty, because the organization probably already knows the answer.
Yes, the question is whether leadership is willing to convert the grievance while it is still convertible, before it becomes contempt.
And fifth, what did we create last year that no competitor could have bought?
That question measures creative capacity, and it separates activity from advantage.
So the closing idea is simple, but not easy.
Look
below the dashboard.
Look beneath the visible program plan,
Look at the beliefs,
the ownership structures,
the problem frames,
the unresolved grievances,
the build versus buy reflex.
because these forces are not inevitable. That is the hopeful part.
They are preventable.
But only after they are visible,
And that is the leadership move, not to wait for the smoke detector.
but to inspect the wiring.
Because by the time the dashboard turns red, the organization may already know what failed.
It just waited too long to name it.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of The Focal Point. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. I'm your host, Sebastian Filiberto Rigoletto de la Cruz. Until next time, God bless you and yours and everyone.